ॐ नमो भगवते महासुदर्शनाय वासुदेवाय धन्वन्तराये अमृतकलशहस्ताय सर्वभयविनाशाय सर्वरोगनिवारणाय त्रिलोकपथाय त्रिलोकनाथाय श्रीमहाविष्णुस्वरूप श्रीधन्वन्तरिस्वरूप श्री 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 औषधचक्र नारायणाय नमः। ॐ नमो भगवते महासुदर्शनाय वासुदेवाय धन्वन्तराये अमृतकलशहस्ताय सर्वभयविनाशाय सर्वरोगनिवारणाय त्रिलोकपथाय त्रिलोकनाथाय श्रीमहाविष्णुस्वरूप श्रीधन्वन्तरीस्वरूप श्री 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 औषधचक्र नारायणाय नमः। ॐ नमो भगवते महासुदर्शनाय वासुदेवाय धन्वन्तराये अमृतकलशहस्ताय सर्वभयविनाशाय सर्वरोगनिवारणाय त्रिलोकपथाय त्रिलोकनाथाय श्रीमहाविष्णुस्वरूप श्रीधन्वन्तरिस्वरूप श्री 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 औषधचक्र नारायणाय नमः। ॐ नमो भगवते महासुदर्शनाय
Should be good. Oh, there we go. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Glad to see everybody here today. Let me see my official thing I'm supposed to say. Let's see. My name is Carl Rust. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees of this congregation. Welcome to you all. Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Elkhart is a welcoming community, encouraging religious freedom, nurturing individual, spiritual, and ethical growth, celebrating diversity, and promoting a just and sustainable world. If you'd like to learn more about the fellowship, go to uufe.org. Join us after our service for potluck. And it doesn't matter if you brought food, because I didn't. So feel free to stick around and have some food and fellowship. For listening enjoyment of all, we ask you to turn off cell phones or put them on vibrate. If you need hearing support, see the folks at the sound desk and we'll fix you up. So the Sunday after the board meeting, we've kind of established a little routine here that I kind of give you a report on the things that were discussed at the board meeting. this past Wednesday. And as you might know, you should know, we're having a congregational meeting today after potluck to discuss some changes in the bylaws. Everybody should have gotten a copy, looks like this, and the green are the changes, although now I've got some pen marks because there's a few more that we need to add in. Well, what we decided to do for this is we're going to go through it section by section, and if I forget to do this, please remind me. We're going to pause and ask if there's any questions, amendments, suggestions for just that section. But we're going to go all the way to the end and then vote. So we'll vote on the whole package, whatever. So if you have something you think is wrong or missing, you need to bring that up when we go over that section so we can make an amendment. And then at the end, we'll vote on the whole thing. We're going to finish shortly paying off the roof. We also are beginning remediation of the Learning Center mold in the basement. We did a down payment on that, so that should be proceeding. We also made a down payment on the new fire panel that we need. So that will be taking place soon. We got a little mini report from the search committee. They're still working. We're still looking out there to see what we can find as far as a minister for our congregation. Yes, Ken? Oh, the roof is paid. Okay. I thought that was right, but I didn't want to commit myself in case. We started looking at the rental policy because we want to get back into the rental scheme of things, but there's a few things that are kind of holding us back a little bit, but we're starting to look at that again, make sure the rental policy is up to date. Let's see. One thing that we're concerned about, and this might seem like a minor thing, but if you're in the fellowship or let's put it like this, if you're the last one to leave, you've got to make sure all the perimeter doors are closed and locked. We've had some problem with the back door being left unlocked and being left open. So for whatever reason, if you're in here doing work or you're in here with a meeting, just whoever's the last one to leave, make sure everything's locked. So you might have to actually walk around and make sure, just verify. You might have noticed some of us wearing a mask. And the reason for that is because the CDC has moved Elkhart County to yellow in COVID. So they're recommending that people in high risk categories wear a mask. We're not requiring it at this time. We just want to make you aware. And since I've been doing a little traveling lately, I've been in a couple airports, Chicago and Portland Airport. I felt like it was probably a good idea for me to wear one. It's up to you if you want to do that or not. We're not requiring it at this time, but we do have them if you would like to wear a mask. I think I covered everything. Mike, did I forget anything? Okay. So thank you for being here, and hopefully you'll stick around for the congregational meeting and potluck. And now we've got Fellowship Life with Judy.
Good morning, everybody. Not sure if you could hear me through my mask, but I think it's a good idea to wear them. So, let's see here. As expected, Carl touched on the first two items on my list of things to share with you. But I want to make sure that everybody knows that we were able to donate 155 items to the women's shelter from our mitten trees. That includes not just mittens and gloves, but socks and scarves and caps and maybe a few other odd things I don't recall. And Ken tells me that the annual pledge summaries will be mailed this week. And so, expect them in your mailbox soon. And before I take the kids off to class, I'd like to invite parents from each of the kids to meet with me after the service on the 29th to touch base and I'd like to form a parents advisory council so that we can have a program that we are sure meets the needs of our young people. So because it's sort of cobbled together and was initially designed for preschoolers, and we don't have those right now. And the shared plate last week was $192, which will be shared with the Elkhart County Symphony. Okay, thank you very much.
We ring the gong 3 times. Once for those who came before us, once for those who are here now, and once for those who will come after us and build on the dream. Today's chalice lighting is from Catherine Callahan. As the chalice is lit, let us come together into this sacred space we have created. Let the cares of the day fall away and know that here is a place for quiet reflection, for a pause in our lives, for breathing into our true selves. Let what is said and felt here add richness to the dimension of our lives and spiritual practices. We are strong together in community. We share the experience of being human. Let the warmth of the chalice lit during our time together connect us and carry us into another world. Now, if you'll join me in our unison covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. This is our covenant. Now for Dwight Fish.
Good day, sunshine. Good morning. So we got a couple of musings here, but I need to make an announcement about tomorrow's Martin Luther King activities. Tomorrow at 7:30 in the morning, there will be a breakfast for anyone interested at the Elkhart Public Library downtown. At 9 o'clock after the breakfast, we'll be marching from the plaza, Central Plaza downtown, to the Community Baptist Church. At 10 o'clock, there'll be a program, a Martin Luther King program presentation. And then after that, there'll be lunch served at the church. So, and in honor of the ladies that are putting on the food today, Martin Luther King exclaimed, "I have the audacity to believe that people everywhere can have 3 meals a day for their bodies, education and culture for their minds, and dignity, equality, and freedom for their spirits." But I found a good one for you in honor of your food, and I appreciate food because we still have 17% of our people in Elkhart County that are food insecure. People who love to eat are always the best people. To eat is a necessity, but to eat intelligently is an art. We all eat, and it would be a sad waste of opportunity to eat badly. If you really want to make a friend, go to someone's house and eat with them. The people who give you their food give you their heart.
If you'll all turn to hymn number 207, Earth Was Given as a Garden.
just so we can all see the process. This is the time of the month and in the service where we share with each other joys and sorrows, milestones and gratitudes. Like to share, please come up, state your name so we may know you better. Choose a stone or shell from the basket and drop it in the water. You're also welcome to do so in silence. This part will be on our Zoom service this morning, but it will not be on the internet, YouTube, later. And if there is a particular memory, gratitude connected with Martin Luther King Jr., this might be a time to do that. This last candle for all those joys and sorrows unspoken. And I drop this final stone for all the joys and sorrows we have yet to experience.
Fantastic. All right, well, my name is Suzie Holszuh, and I'm truly grateful and honored to be able to stand before you and talk about the sacredness of food and the body and beyond. And just so you know, I have not done this in many, many, many years, to stand in front of people. And the subject that I'm going to talk about is also relatively new to me because I'm a new student. So the language that I'm using, I'm talking in the most simplistic form because that's where I'm at. I'm the first year student of a 2,500-year-old lineage. And it's in a different language, which I can't even pronounce some of the words half the time. So I'm just letting you know this is where I'm at. But I do know that part of this tradition is a lifestyle. It's not a religion. And where I would like to start is actually doing a 3-part meditation that's part of this lineage to kind of get you into the body and the heart rather than in the mind. Because this is where things start. So we're feeding our soul and our mind and our body with this 3-part meditation. Okay, so food isn't just vegetables. I'm sorry, there was a great picture up there of vegetables and fruits and maybe a Ritz cracker in there, or two. And so there's many levels of how we feed, like meeting together in company when we haven't been able to do that for several years. It's food, communication and relationships. So this meditation is 3-part, and it's a really long meditation when you start doing the practice. So the goal is to be able to sit for hours, and I kid you not, without blinking, staring at the candle. We're only going to do it for a minute. And if you blink, keep on doing it. There's no frustration, there's no shame, there's no guilt. You got to start somewhere. And I discovered, because I wear contacts, I can stare at the candle without blinking for a really long time. Well, I did it last night without the contacts, and I was blinking like crazy. I'm like, ooh, I can barely do it. I'm like, little trick there with the contacts. So it's 3 parts, and cancel that. You don't want to be there. You don't want to be there. So I'm only going to do a minute. And so the first part is staring at the candle without blinking. Okay. Now, if you choose to do this at home, you're going to sit arm's length with the candle at eye level. Okay. And the optimum way of doing that is in the lotus position, which, right, exactly. So Um, and then the second optimal level is doing it sitting on the floor, cross-legged, like Indian style, with the hips elevated slightly, with the candle at eye level, arm's length, okay? But for most of us, sitting in a chair with the feet on the ground, with legs uncrossed, and is really important. So I'm gonna move away so people can see my body. So there is a powerful way of sitting. Okay, so there's power in your body and presence because your body's a temple. You want to be open to receiving, which is the form of food, whether it's energy, whether it's words, or whether it's food. Okay, so there's ways of receiving. So when you're sitting, firmly planted on the ground, your thighs, which is where your natural chair is, and your feet are not like this, not like this, not like this, but they're in a power stance, so that you are fully present in your body. Okay? And you're sitting upright, nice and comfortable in your chair. Okay? So this is a form of power in sitting and being present in your body and present for what you're receiving. Okay, so again, this is food. The second part of this meditation, which we're also going to do for a minute, again, this could be 5 minutes, 20 minutes, several hours, depending on how much time you have in your life. And we're going to just breathe, and you're going to place the right hand on top of the left. You're going to just relax it in your lap. Now, some people do the thumbs together, or you can just rest. Again, this is a contemplative, therapeutic, and there's science behind it, but I'm not a science person. I'm an experiential person. So I do it on myself first. And we're going to breathe, and you're going to inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose, and just focus on the breath. If a thought comes, just view yourself as the blue, blue sky. And the thoughts are just clouds passing by. So you're sitting inside of yourself, and you're just present to the breath for 1 minute. And then the third part is going to be, we're gonna have beautiful music. Hopefully that works. Just know we're preparing ourselves for a commercial because it's coming off of YouTube. So just know it's going to be there. So it might interrupt your calmness. Just again, that commercial is a cloud passing by. I'm going to read some questions. I'm going to tell my story briefly, and then I'm going to talk about the lineage that I'm coming from. And so I'm going to try to keep it within the 20 minutes. But this experiential piece is so that you understand that you're preparing your body for the food that you're going to receive. And you do this thoughtfully throughout your day so that you have a calm experience with your emotions, so that you have mental clarity for your thoughts, so you can be open to receive what's coming at you, and you can respond rather than react. Okay, because this is medicine. And the food is either medicine or poison, right? Your thoughts can be poisonous. People can be poisonous, right? So it's, again, and your emotions can be poisonous. You can be consumed by them, right? So, or you can oh, it's coming at me and it's going right by, right? Because we're in a time of really reactionary stress, right? We have people we were friends with, we're not friends with anymore. Used to be able to have conversations with, right? And that's gone. I'm down to 2 friends. I've had to let go of toxic people in my life. I'm in a totally different space. So I've had to learn how to care for myself and set up boundaries and create positive experiences for myself, because I have to nourish and nurture myself. So the sacredness is crucial here, so that you are respectful to yourself, you're accepting of yourself, and you're loving of yourself, because you're learning how to mother and father yourself. This is a form of food, because what have we spent our entire lives doing? Giving to others. And there have been people that have taken it from us, right? Without giving back. All right, so how do we replenish our own vessel? with the food that we need to nourish ourselves first, which is a form of self-care, not selfishness. So that when we give, we're giving from a place of fullness and overflow. Because we certainly have experienced giving from a place of lack. And what does that create? Bitterness, ugliness, meanness, hatefulness. I'm going to do it, but I'm on empty, right? So how can we be from a place of love and openness and receptivity? And when we know that we can't give anymore, we have to say no. Okay, so that's where I'm coming from. I've had to learn, because I came from the savior role. I was going to save everybody, but it was even more deeper than that. I had to save others to save myself, and that's part of my story. Okay, so I've had to give that up, and in the process, I've lost a lot of friends. Because what did I do? Took care of them, over generous, gave and gave, but when that stopped, they didn't need me anymore, right? I'm just saying, just take a look at how you feed yourself and how others feed you, right? With that relationship. So this is where the sacredness of food comes in, and the body. All right, so we're going to do the meditation, and I'm going to give you something called a marma at the end, because we're going to have it, because like I said, I'm an experiential person. We're going to do a forgiveness marma, and what do we want marma? Okay, so I'm going to set the time here for 1 minute. Hopefully it's a nice bing bong, not an alarm. Okay. All right, so I'm going to start. And so you want to focus on the candle. And it should be a white candle, non-perfumey, so that your senses are not distracted. And you're focusing with your eyes, non-blinking. But again, be loving and kind to yourself. If you blink, just keep going. It's a practice. Got to start somewhere. All right. 1, 2, 3, and begin. Okay. Now just sit with how you experience that. The mind was going, it's really okay, because the mind is always there. It's always present. All right, now we're going to sit with hands like this on the lap. Again, if you feel more comfortable with this, to do this or this, both are acceptable. You're going to do that for a minute, and you're going to breathe, focusing your eyes with your eyes closed, and you're focusing on the tip of your nose, and you're breathing only in the nose and exhaling out of the nose. And you're just relaxed with the breathing. And a way to receive this is think of when you're inhaling, the belly goes out, and your lungs and your whole body is being filled with this essence from the ethers. And when you're exhaling, you're giving back to the ethers. So the well of your lungs are filling up, and then exhale, you're pouring it out. And let's begin. 1, 2, 3, begin. All right, this next piece, which will have music, and if you could put the volume down just so it's really gentle. I'm going to be saying some words, and I'd like to acknowledge Krishna Naram, who gave the 3-year students for the Ayush Shakti Ayurveda program this particular meditation. And it's a direct meditation that's been handed down from master to master, from master to student for 2,500 years. So it's really precious. In this next piece, I'm going to honor Gary Malkin, who I'm going to be saying his words as we're listening to this music, because this next piece is slightly longer, so you can do it with your eyes closed. Okay, is listen to the words and see how they're activated inside your body. They're questions, and whatever arises, and we'll do the marma points to kind of really activate and solidify what the feelings and thoughts and emotions and memories that were brought up with these words. Okay, begin.
Okay, I finally found what we found metabolism, and it's not crazy without a bad
You okay
diet.
with music? Eyes closed. Allow this music to come to a wholeness in your heart, mind, and soul. Imagine every one of your cells vibrating to the universal emotion of love. Allow these questions to activate your imagination, and let the questions just activate in whatever's coming up. Let it come out. What do you want? Each question, ask yourself, what do you want? Who do you want to be? What are you grateful for? And whatever arises, what are you grateful for? Do you see the whole world anew each day as it begins? Do you take the time to really listen to what others are saying to you? Do you really listen? Do you know how to help? Do you give yourself time to be playful? How could you bring more joy into your life? Look at all the ways that you can bring more joy into your life. Do you see challenges as opportunities? Do you turn towards them as a gift? Do you find yourself judging yourself or others? Breathe into the part of you that judges. Let go of judgments. Do you take the time to acknowledge and appreciate people in your life on a regular basis? What makes you happy? What brings a smile to your face? Do you stand up for yourself? Do you forgive yourself on a regular basis? How much of your life are you spending smiling and laughing? Do you give yourself time to nurture and nourish, to care for yourself? How do you want to be remembered at the end of your life? After all, what does success really mean to you? How can you add value to the lives of others, to serve and be a blessing to others? happiness for a day, go fishing. If you want happiness for a year, inherit a fortune. If you want happiness for a lifetime, help someone. Feel the blessings of this music, these words and questions, and drop into this adventure of your life, the gift you can give. Now, until your very last breath. Okay, so you can open your eyes. And with these words, what you've taken, the good, I open my heart, I cry sometimes, so a little tender. So the forgiveness on Marma, which is an acupressure point, which we'll call an acupressure point, they're called Marma points. This is if you have any trauma or drama or physical things that have happened to you or mental or emotional things that have happened to you, consciously, subconscious. Like mine go to the point where I'm like a little baby. I don't know what happened, right? But it created a block in my life that has limited me in being able to fully live my full life. And it literally just popped out August 15th, 2022. So I'm just saying it took a long time. I'm 56. So this marma point is left hand. You're going to take your left hand, thumb is straight up, and your hand is not like this. It's not wimpy limpy. It's nice and firm, like you're going in for a handshake. You're going to take your right hand, and the thumb is nicely supporting the inside of the palm. Okay, so everybody can see that. And then the pointer finger is just going to come in the V here. And you're going to go down the bone of the thumb into the V and up the pointer finger right here. And you're going to see if there's any pain there or achiness. And wherever that achiness is, and this is not a wimpy press, you're going to go in there and you're going to press to feel what's going on. Okay? And you're going to do the 6 times 6. So I'll count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause. 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause. 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause. Now open your eyes, and you want to make sure your pointer finger is pressing on your flesh. Okay, so it will continue. 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause. 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause. Okay. Now that's just beginning. You can do this anytime, anywhere. You need a break if somebody's really upsetting you and you need to collect yourself, go to the bathroom. Take a moment and start pressing that point, forgiving yourself, forgiving the other person. So what this is doing is your mind, body, and spirit, they may be talking different languages because of all the trauma and drama that's occurred in your life. Okay? So this is a way to start talking to the body and the mind because you're thinking about what you're doing, right? And you're breathing while you're doing this, and this pulse. So when we're all born, we come with a 6 pulse. So our body is naturally pulsing at a 6 with a pause. So it's when babies obviously are doing the pulse at a much slower rate because they don't have all the stress that we've accumulated in our body. When I first started doing this, I was going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because that's my mind, right? So I've had to calm my mind down and slow it down. So when you're doing this, you're bringing optimal health back into your body. You're reminding your body, your mind, and your spirit and your breath what you came in already knowing. And we forgot along the way. Now we're just putting it back, calming things down. Okay, we're going to start there. There's several different ways of doing this forgiveness point, but we're going to start there 'cause I could be here for 10 hours just talking about marble points, because they're so amazing and special. Now, but what do you want? So we had these questions. What do you want in your life? What is your heart's desire? So we're going to put that in. Now we are going to do a white frame. So over your right eye, so I'm facing you. So over your right eye, you're going to imagine a white box. In that white box, you're going to put what you want. You're going to see it, you're going to feel it, you're going to taste it, you're going to smell it, whatever that could be. Winning the lottery, that's simple, superficial, but hey, who doesn't want some extra money, right? It could be a better relationship. I'm not trying to point it out, but you said you wanted better communication with two people in your life. Put that in there. See, it's an experiment, right? So, hey, it might work. So whatever it is, like for me, I want a job, but a job that really fulfills me. So I've been putting that in there. So you're going to take your right pointer finger, okay, and you're pointing it away from you. So you're looking at your nail. You're taking your left hand and you're pressing on the top. So close your eyes. Imagine what you want in that white frame above your right eye. And you're going to press here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 2, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 6. Okay, and again, that's beginner. That's beginner level. There's several things. There's several deeper levels, but that's a good place to start. All right, so I've introduced to two things that are, well, we've had this conversation, Laura, because she's a science person. I'm an experiential, spiritual person. So I don't deal with the scientific words, but there is actual science behind what I just did. Okay, and I gave you a little bit because you're reminding your body of how to introduce what optimal health back into your mind, in your body, and that you can create the life that you would really like to be living, full of love, excitement, whatever it is, at any age. Now, I guarantee you, my mom would be 100 years old this year. If I had known about this, she would have done everything in her power, because that's just who she was. We would have done this whole system and she'd still be alive. She made it to 92, did a great job. She's one of my heroes. She did chair yoga the day before she had a stroke that took her out. She was still doing stuff. Okay? She had scoliosis that was so bad her spine was like this. She should have been in a wheelchair. She used a cane, walked upright. Sometimes had to use a roller. Okay, but I'm just saying, she was pretty amazing, okay, without knowing this system. All right, so I'm going to give you a little bit about who I am, so you know my story. Karen, where are you? Is she here? No, the lady that did the talk about cancer. It's Karen, right? She's not here today. That's okay. Well, she and I have something in common, in that we both survived, and not only survived, but thrived through cancer. So 2010, I could tell you my whole life story. We're going to start in 2010. I woke up one day in the evening, well, when it was in the middle of the night, and I had breakthrough bleeding. And within a few hours, clearly I needed to go to the hospital because I was vomiting and couldn't control it, and I was dizzy and I couldn't drive myself to the hospital anymore. And got a CAT scan, had a 2.5-pound tumor that had consumed my left adrenal gland and kidney. And they were going to send me home, but when they looked at it closer, I had a bacterial infection that if it ruptured, I would die. So it became emergency surgery. So I went in on a Wednesday, had surgery on Friday, left the hospital that very next Tuesday. When I got the 29 staples out a week and a half later, The doctor goes, you know, you're supposed to still be in the hospital. Most people are in there for 2.5 weeks, minimum. And I looked at him and I said, well, you know, I'm not that person. Because I had been on a path of healing, and I've done a lot of different things because I don't do really well with Western medicine. Did it save my life? Absolutely. Saved my mom's life, saved my dad's life. But it doesn't do prevention. Okay, it doesn't help you help yourself. You're dependent on a pill which will mask symptoms. It doesn't really heal, right? So this is really crucial, the language that I'm using, because I have to be a little careful with some of the words I use, all right? Because the medical field has the patent on pain and healing. So, but I can say there are things out there that can help you heal yourself, all right? And that's the whole premises of this, all right? So I did acupuncture, I've done meditation, I have a spiritual teacher, I've done energy work, I've done Reiki, I've done IET, I've done frequency machines, I've done herbal supplements, I've done CBD oil, I've done all these things. I've done yoga, I'm a yoga teacher. What did I leave out? I've exercised my whole life, starting at age 3, went to the YWCA downtown with the pool down below with my mom. You know, so I've been doing ballet, yoga, running, aerobics, swimming, gymnastics, tumbling, you know, always been really healthy. My body has never crapped out on me. So after the surgery and having radioactive glucose injected into my bloodstream so that when they did the CAT scan every 6 months, they could see if I had cancer growing back in me. Well, what did that do for me? Well, a whole lot of nothing, but made me really sick. I had a candida overgrowth. It was systemic in my body. And the stress of that and taking care of my parents, which I did for 7 years, from 2007 to 2014. The stress of it activated a virus in my body that I did not know I had, because not one doctor ever told me that I had Epstein-Barr virus. I had mono at 17, which is stage 2 of Epstein-Barr. There's 60 variations of this, and the oldest known form, guess what, resembles the creepiness of old age setting in. You have less energy, you need to sleep, you know, you're tired all the time, you lose your appetite for life. That's the oldest form of Epstein-Barr. So we either have it or we don't. You know, what is old age? Kind of interesting, right? Anyway, so Epstein-Barr in 2013 went from stage 2 to stage 3 to stage 4 in a year. And what did that leave me with? Well, it landed in my thyroid, so my thyroid completely tanked. So I disconnected from my brain. So my brain was going, I had all these great ideas, but nothing happened. Because the body was like, I need to sleep, I need to rest, I can't do anything. I have bone fatigue that is so severe that while I was still trying to exercise and lifting weights, I would do a leg press and I would literally bawl my eyes out in public. I had no control. I had such bone fatigue because I couldn't move my legs after doing 3. It was intense. Went to the doctor. There's nothing wrong with your thyroid. All up here, right? That's how, because I'm like, I know how I feel. So that's where it started. I had brain fog. I had bone fatigue. Started gaining weight. I started having issues with my lymph glands, and I just couldn't do anything. And so people would see me on my good days. They wouldn't see me on my bad days. And with an invisible illness, I literally had friends tell me, what's wrong with you? There's nothing wrong with you. Just do it. I'm like, well, okay, I'm not saying anything because I'm going to bite your head off. Because you don't know what I'm going through, right? Like they were looking at me like I was lazy and crazy. So from 2015 to 2019 were like really, I have 3 years I have no memories of. If I didn't take pictures, I wouldn't know what I did. Right? In 2016, I found out that I had Epstein-Barr, and I was really pissed because, you know, when you take care of people, your world gets really small. And all of a sudden, I could not eat hardly any food. And so I'm like, okay, I'm really angry here. I'm going to eat and drink whatever I want. I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to bring joy back into my life. And that's how I started some of my recovery. And all the treatments that I did, all alternative, even some of the Western stuff, harmed me. That was the Western stuff, unfortunately. So I had to stop that because I only have one kidney now. I can't do certain things, right? And the alternative things only had temporary fixes. And by 2019, I was in a wheelchair. My hands and feet had swollen. I had to have rings cut off. I could hardly walk. And it was like shards of glass going through my nerve endings, through my hands and my feet. And I could hardly stand. I had to change from I have zippers now. I got zippers back in my life. But I had to get pull-on pants because I had no strength in my hands. And anything I touched, I would have this pain ricochet through my body. So in desperation, I knew a little bit about Ayurveda because I was a yoga instructor, not a whole lot. I went and did something called Panchakarma in India for 6 weeks. Arrived there in a wheelchair. They have really good liquid pain medication, by the way, all herbal, was good. When I left, they had given me back my hands and my feet through the treatments that they did there. All right. So they got me on my way. So my story really starts with meeting a man named Dr. Clint Rogers on Zoom in 2020 because COVID hit, right? We were stuck at home. So I love to read. I had a friend say, hey, listen to this Zoom. And when this book came out, I read the book and my life changed. Not all of Ayurveda is equal. And Ayurveda is basically the science of life. That's what Ayurveda means. It's the science of life. So it's not a religion. It's 2,500 years old with this particular lineage. And they can trace it all the way back, this lineage, all the way back to 300 BC. So, and it's this is really important because since it's a holistic way of living, so you're doing food, sacredness of food, you're doing lifestyle changes to help your body heal and your mind heal and your emotions heal and so your spirit heals. So it's mind, body, and spirit. I lost my train of thought now. Dr. Clint, thank you. When I read this book, I realized that this is a lineage of love that heals, and it's unbroken. So how many of us come from broken families? Like we have so much trauma and drama in our life. Like how do we connect to our ancestors that remember how to heal the brokenness? We have to go back generations for some of us. And all of us come from another country. Our ancestors had to break their entire way of life. All that they knew, they had to leave it behind to come to the United States. Okay, so we have a lot of brokenness in our lineages. And this lineage of healing is unbroken, no matter what came at it, because there was a lot of destruction of intellectual property when different religions and different countries would come in to India. But they never lost the connectedness. They have a way of healing the brokenness, and it's with love and understanding and compassion. Studying nature and saying, oh, we are part of nature, we're not above nature. And so how can we balance the things that are out of balance in our bodies and mind and spirits based on what we've observed in nature? We have those elements within ourselves, and we can do certain things with food, medicinal herbs, home remedies that you can find in your kitchen cabinet, along with Marma. And if you want to go to the next step that I did, you do panchakarma, which you have to go to India to do because it's a lot less expensive. Here in the United States, it's about $30,000-$40,000 out of your pocket, right? Over there, it's way, way less. And it's worth every penny to do. And Dr. Clint introduced Ayushakti Ayurveda to the world, okay? And Dr. Naram is the actual doctor that created this with his wife, Dr. Smita. Now, this is really important, and I'm going to be very brief about this, because I think I'm rambling again. I've overgone my time period, but I'm going to wrap it up here. I did have a bunch of notes, and I want to read this to you, because this is really important. Ayurveda in Sanskrit it's a word for science of life. It's the world's oldest healthcare system. Goes back 5,000 years. And Ayushakti goes deeper. It works with the pulse, so doctors can take your pulse. It has to do with diet and lifestyle, herbal supplements, the marma, which I did 2 of, and then the deep cleaning, which has to do with detoxifying the body. So when you eat food that is medicine, like I cannot eat tomatoes. I have gout. I have arthritis. Tomatoes give you arthritis, causes acidity in the body, and there's chemical components, these are Laura's words, that you find in tomatoes that cause pain in the body and inflammation. I can't eat potatoes. I will have ulcerate of acne that explodes on my face that lasts for 3 months. It's really pretty horrific. So there's food for you with your constitution that will cause you to have, it's poisonous to you. And there's food that is medicine. And so in wrapping up, as you can see, I'm very passionate about this. They have 500 doctors that they have trained all over the world. They have served 1.5 million people. And they are working to changing people's lives so that you can live your life fully to the best of your ability so that our golden years are truly golden. All right, thank you. I could say a lot more, but there you go. This is your plan that you get with all the different, so I'm Vata Pitta, so I can talk forever. I'm pretty heady. And this gives you the diet for what food is poisonous and what food is medicine. And this book is available to read, and there are detoxes that you can do at home if you don't want to go to India. Though I tell you what, pretty amazing there. All right, thank you. I do appreciate it, and I'm sorry if I went over the time. My first time in a long time that I've spoken in front of people. So.
We want to turn to hymn number 349. We gather together, and we picked this one because we've got potluck afterwards with food for our bodies and hopefully our souls. You can stand if you are able. Our benediction today is by Cynthia Landrum. We leave this gathered community, but we don't leave our connection, our concerns, our care for each other. Our service to each other, to the world, and to our faith continues. Until we are together again, friends, be strong, be well, be true, and be loving. Blessed be and amen. Go in peace.
श्रीधन्वन्तरि स्वरूप श्री 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 औषधचक्र नारायणाय नमः। ॐ नमो भगवते महासुदर्शनाय वासुदेवाय धन्वन्तराये अमृतकलशहस्ताय सर्वभयविनाशाय सर्वरोगनिवारणाय त्रिलोकपथाय त्रिलोकनाथाय श्रीमहाविष्णुस्वरूप श्रीधन्वन्तरि स्वरूप श्री 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 औषधचक्र नारायणाय नमः। ॐ नमो भगवते महासुदर्शनाय वासुदेवाय धन्वन्तराये अमृतकलशहस्ताय सर्वभयविनाशाय सर्वरोगनिवारणाय त्रिलोकपथाय त्रिलोकनाथाय श्रीमहाविष्णुस्वरूप श्रीधन्वन्तरि स्वरूप श्री 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 औषधचक्र नारायणाय नमः। ॐ नमो भगवते महासुदर्शनाय वासुदेवाय धन्वन्तराये अमृतकलशहस्ताय सर्वभयविनाशाय सर्वरोगनिवारणाय त्रिलोकपथाय त्रिलोकनाथाय श्रीमहाविष्णुस्वरूप श्रीधन्वन्तरि स्वरूप श्री 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 औषधचक्र नारायणाय नमः।